URL. So first of all, we're going to say object equals to product.objects.get ID equals to 1. So we're setting a default so we can see just exactly how this works. So object equals to obj, and then we are going to render out this basic template from this basic model. And then finally in our URL, this is what it looks like. But what we want to do is make it dynamic. That is, I want to be able to pass in an ID here. So if I put in 1 or 2, this content will actually change based off of that. To do it, we just put in these brackets here, and then we declare the type. So in my case, I'm going to use an integer. You can also use str, you can also use slug, and there's a few others I'll reference in a moment. So integer, and then I'm going to give it a name. In my case, I'll say ID. You can also say my ID or pretty much anything else that you'd like. ID is default, right? So that's sort of standard, is using something like ID, or if you were using a slug type, you would do slug:slug. But we're going to use int for integer and just pass in that ID. What this does is it passes in a new argument to our view. So our view has the request by default, and it passes in that new argument of ID, which we declared the name of. Again, if you changed the name here, like my ID, you would have to change the name on your argument right there. We'll leave it like that just for illustration purposes. But what's going to happen now is our object is going to change based off of that ID because we're going to pass that variable in just like that. So we save that and I refresh in my page. I go to page 1. I get a dynamic view. I need to make sure that I save everything here. But this is an error that if I actually didn't update my view function, this is what happens, right? So I'll save this and I'll replay that error in just a second. But if I refresh in here, I now see that, what do you know? It's now a dynamic URL, and it's actually doing the lookup based off of what's in the database. So if we go into our products and click on any of them, we see that it's also doing that same sort of lookup. Granted, the URL is slightly different, but the number is iterating. So again, if I actually change this to ID and refreshed in here, I get this problem, this dynamic lookup, or our view. This is really just our view function here. Doesn't know what this keyword argument is, so we just have to make sure that we put it in here.